So, okay, it's 3 o'clock. So, you know, with all of these things, we don't like to take up too much of everyone's time. We know that there's lots of these webinars and Zoom meetings going on all day long. So, we're trying to make sure that people don't get too bored with seeing us pop up on their feeds all of the time. So, first things first, thanks to everybody that's joining us now. It's great to see everyone jumping on, and it's nice to see nice to see so many unfamiliar names actually. So so that's good. Welcome aboard. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining our kind of honest and frank conversations, which I believe are good to have at any point, but least of all now. So. Just a really quick introduction before we start kind of cracking on with the different questions and what have you. So my name is Paul Kelly from Strictly Recruitment, and as a recruitment agency, we have been around in the market very prominent for the last 10 years. This year is actually our 10th birthday year, which we did have lots of crazy and outrageous plans to celebrate our birthday, but those have been put on hold for the moment, which is a bit of a shame, but these things happen. So since we've kind of gone into this state of lockdown, we have been super active, trying to provide as much value as we possibly can to our community, trying to bring the community together, and try and offer some advice and some tips, and a place to kind of learn and develop and upskill and what have you. So that's the kind of purpose of what we've been trying to achieve. Today is we've kind of run, I think this is the third or fourth question and answer session that we've done around recruitment, and a lot of questions people have come up a lot. So it's good to kind of have a forum where people get a chance to voice their concerns and questions and what have you. So this really is an open conversation. What would be good is if people kind of jump on board, say hello, ask what they want to ask. I won't be offended. I always give the most honest answer I possibly can give. I'm not going to give you any agency bullshit, pardon my French. I'm just going to kind of tell you how it is and give you the advice and the opinions that you guys kind of need to hear, essentially, and not necessarily want to hear. So it's a no holds barred conversation, and if anyone's got anything they would like to add, just kind of jump in and feel free to say so. So if anybody has I've got some questions that have been sent through, but what I thought could be nice, instead of kind of going to the kind of the questions that have come through already, has anybody got something that they would like to ask straight off the bat whilst we're here? Is anyone feeling brave to come off mute, or if anyone wants to put something in the chat box, feel free. I'll give that a couple of seconds. Okay. Okay, there we go. We're off and running. This is good. So have you been in touch with any recruiters? Is the temp market now dead? So are you asking me if I've been in touch with any recruiters, or generally from the group there? I'll give you a little bit of an insight of what's been happening in the recruitment world. Okay, asking me. Yes. So yes, I have been in touch with lots of recruiters actually, and the recruitment market, let's be honest, is pretty slow at the moment. Let's not beat around the bush there. In terms of what I can see and what I've been told, we still get the alerts from all the recruitment websites that come through, and we're very much speaking to every candidate that gets in contact with us. And we're speaking to people who put their CV up on the CV databases. Over the last 3 weeks, every single candidate that we've spoken to have actually said that we're the only agency that they've heard from. So I don't know. I know that there are 1 or 2 agencies that are quite active from what I can see on social media and what have you. But from what I can see, the vast majority of recruitment agencies have kind of almost kind of shut down and are kind of sitting and waiting to ride out the storm. In terms of the recruitment, the recruiters that I speak to, we speak to in-house recruiters, we speak to agencies and agencies owners that are out there. I speak to them a lot, and you know, have kind of honest and frank conversations with them about the market and what have you. And you know, they all say the same, that the market is very slow at the moment. In terms of the temporary market, that side of things has died down as well. That was one thing that we kind of, when we were in the early phases of what was going on, we thought to ourselves that actually that market may well survive and it might kind of continue to go through. But we have seen the temp market slow down slightly. We had our report come through today, actually, from the temps that we've had out since we went into kind of lockdown. And it's interesting to see that whilst we still have got quite a few temps working with us on a week-to-week basis, it's the numbers are obviously a lot different to how they were in January, February, and the beginning of March. So the temp market has slowed down as well. Yes. Somebody's put that they keep seeing ads from agencies, so these jobs don't exist. Those of you that have watched my recruiter tip, insider recruiter tips, or seen us do these things before, it's one of the things that I always talk about, and I always flag to job seekers to be mindful of, to actually be mindful that in 2020, false advertising still very much does exist. Now, from our perspective as recruiters, we have got some jobs on at the moment, but it is quite minimal. So the jobs that we advertise, they are real, and we make sure that they're real. And we've never had a problem with kind of flow of jobs, so we've never really had to rely on false advertising. But I do know that agencies do still put fake adverts up. So what I like to say to people is if you look at an advert and it says, okay, so if we think about, let's think about a really generic, if a job advert is super generic, saying, hey, we've got this PA job working for this really great company in the middle of London, then that would raise alarm bells to me that job isn't necessarily a live job and it's ready to go. I've told this story a number of times that in January I got approached by a recruitment consultant who was very keen to come and work with us. And one of the main reasons why he was looking to move was that the agency that he worked in, they would advertise jobs for bankers and traders, and it was the recruitment consultant's job to then get them through the door and then transform them and say, well, okay, this job is now gone, that job's on hold. How about this job? Come and work in a recruitment agency, and they would then sell those people on as recruiters. So it still does very much exist, which is, it's a bit sad in the modern day. But these are kind of things to kind of look out for. So we've got some bits and pieces coming in here. So I'm lucky enough still to be working. I took a more junior role, and I'm working as a secretary, where before I used to work as an EA. This is a part-time role. My original goal was to take that to get law experience before the lockdown. I started applying for work, and the question was always, why am I doing a more junior role? How do I explain that and move back into a senior role? This is a great question. I like this one a lot. So the advice that I can give you here is to let me just kind of frame this up one last time to make sure that I get it right for you. Okay. So what I would say is, when we're looking to kind of move forward, and we're looking to move forward in our career, it's best to always own your experience and just be completely upfront with the reasons why you've chosen these decisions to actually go off and do it. We ran a live conference, if you like, in January, where we got a bunch of hiring managers to sit on stage, and we basically did this live, as it were. And it was a brilliant event, and we have planned to do loads more, which is a shame that it hasn't been able to do that. But it was really interesting to kind of get the hiring managers' perspective on things like this, and they all said in scenarios like this, they really want people to kind of come out, own their experience, and just be really upfront and just kind of say to people, these were my intentions. And if people are upfront with their intentions and own it and tell people exactly the reasons why they've done these things, everyone's really open to it. A lot of people who have seen my talks and question answer sessions and everything else know that I'm a huge advocate of including a video introduction on people's CVs, and this could be something that could could really use and ping out in your CV, and you can use this as a reason to to put that on the video. Somebody said they've lost the volume. Can everyone else hear me okay? A thumbs up or a yes will be fine. Yeah, good. Sorry, I think that's you. I think that's a problem. Someone else. Good. Everyone's saying that they can hear me. Okay, so that's good. I'm just having a look at see if there's any more live questions coming through. Are people going into firms working as temps? The people that we have seen in the recruitment process so far, it's all being done virtually, and the onboarding process is done virtually, and people aren't necessarily going into people's office at this moment in time. Okay, so whilst we wait for some other questions to come through on the live feed, I'll address some of the questions that have been emailed in. What are employers asking or looking for nowadays? Are they recruiting staff who are working from home? Will everyone be using Zoom from now on? Are they employing senior experienced staff anymore? So that's quite a broad question, okay, broken down into various different pieces. Even before March the 16th, whatever date it was, we were seeing a large increase in video-based technology being used in the recruitment process. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record. That's why I talk about video introductions on CVs. We've seen clients adopt a method where they part of their screening process, they would get some pre-recorded videos, they would get pre-recorded web things on people's phones, and you essentially you would have to kind of, I don't know if people can see what I'm doing here on screen, but they would get people to look into their phones, and a question would then come up, and it was a predetermined question, and they would answer those questions on people's mobile phones or tablets or computers and what have you. So we're seeing a hell of a lot of that before, and that was the way that the recruitment market was going, and that was something that for the last few years I've kind of been really vocal in the industry to be telling people that people have got to kind of get used to this way of working and start to feel comfortable being interviewed and embracing these new measures of technology. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that since this has all happened, that this will put decision makers and hiring managers in a position where they can see that these things work really well, whether it's Zoom, whether it's Hopin, whether it's Microsoft Teams, whether it's something as basic as FaceTime. I think that people have now got so used to it that it is something that will definitely be here to stay. Whether or not the whole recruitment process will be 100% driven throughout the whole process virtually, I'm not entirely sure, because if you're employing people to come and work in your office, and from a job seeker's perspective as well, you know, you want to have a look at the office that you're going to be working in. You want to have that FaceTime, you know, face-to-face interaction with the people that you're going to be sitting with, you know, every day. It makes sense, doesn't it? Right. So once we kind of move back into that, I do think that the recruitment process is going to change. I think that what we're doing now will be here to stay, and I think that there will be a place for this kind of thing, whether it will go throughout the whole process, i.e. first, second and third round interviews, all virtual. I'm not sure, especially for senior level jobs. You know, definitely I can't think of, you know, jobs that are paying 80, 90, 100K where they're looking for kind of really senior people. I can't see this method taking off the whole way through. But I definitely think that this will be here to stay now. Are people recruiting staff who will be working from home? Yes, the vast majority of the jobs that I see in the different sectors that are still recruiting are working from home. There are lots of questions from people saying, what's the new normal? What does the workplace look like from here on in? Will everybody be working from home? How are things going to change? I haven't got an answer for that at all at this moment in time. I think we will know more over the coming months. I think that there will definitely be a rise. There will definitely be a knee-jerk kind of instant reaction where companies will start to look at resources for individuals who can work from home. But I also think that there will be something that goes the other way, in the sense of organizations will look at the productivity levels over the last couple of months, and they may well find that in some cases productivity levels have been a lot higher, but they might find the opposite way as well. Because I think back the first couple of weeks this was all going on, nobody was doing any work because they just couldn't get their head around working from home and bits and pieces like that, and essentially nothing got done. So whether the same volume of work is being done at the moment, who knows? But I do think that there will be a reaction. There'll be a reaction both ways in that sense. Are people employing senior experienced staff anymore? Again, that's such a broad question. I think ultimately the market for senior and experienced people is always going to be there. 100%. There has been a lot of people that we come across on a day-to-day basis kind of feel that a shift has taken place and companies want people with less experience and they want to pay less, and that people feel that is the way that the market has gone because of certain restructures in different organizations and what have you. But if we look at an HR department, for example, and an HR manager leaves, or an HR business partner leaves, or somebody that is very, very senior, logic dictates that they need a senior person to come and replace that person. Same within a finance team, same within the EA spectrum. If you think of a managing partner of an accountancy, or the CEO of an advertising agency, managing partner of a law firm, how many of those individuals are going to want a junior member of staff? Logic dictates that they probably want someone that's a little bit more senior, who's got the life experience and gravitas to deal with senior stakeholders, and be that great representative of an organization. So I believe that the senior experienced staff will always there will always be a market for those guys. So we've got some more questions coming through, so just bear with me. What do you think? What do you think will get an EA, a senior person job? Okay, so what do I think will get an EA or senior person a job now? Do you think employers will be more choosy when they interview candidates before looking at ones willing to learn less role? Do you think character? Okay. Okay. So yeah, so essentially, what this person is asking is whether employers will be more choosy with the interview process than they were before, looking at the ones willing to learn the role, or do you think character will still count their money's worth and what have you? Let's be real. There's going to be a lot of people looking for a job, both now and in the coming months. That's going to be a fact. I think there's going to be quite a few people that are out of work and get to a certain point and be out of work at this point. So each company who goes and who then has a requirement will then have their specific details that they're going to be looking at. Now, having worked through 2 or 3 recessions in the past, coming through the other side when recruitment does start to pick up, the market is candidate heavy, and every candidate has to make sure that they do what they possibly can to separate themselves from the crowd. And that's prevalent with any market, but in this market, it is the people that really kind of go above and beyond throughout that recruitment process are the ones that are going to be the most successful getting positions. And when I talk about separating themselves from the crowd, that means making sure that our CV is tailored perfectly for that job that they're going for. The social media is in point, their personal brand is perfect to how it should be when we're looking for a job. They're prepared for every interview. They're having the right conversations with the right hiring managers, and they're putting themselves out there to kind of separate themselves from the generic pile of CVs that most people will be looking at. I don't know. I know a lot of people think that the recruitment market is always based around going for the cheapest candidate. And I have to say, I would say in my experience in 20 years, that is quite often a myth, especially when we get to the senior end. And I've had senior level roles that 9 times out of 10, the people that have got the job, they actually then end up getting more than what the pay structure was said right at the very beginning. Because once you get to that very senior level, these guys want the best person. They want the person who's got the best experience, that can bring the most to the business. And if that person costs them £2,000-3,000 more, in the grand scheme of a big business, it's a drop in the ocean for that organization. When you think about companies, a lot of companies, their kind of headcount, the numbers it costs them per person is anywhere between £15,000 and £90,000 per person to have them at that desk. And if they pay them 45-50k, you may as well pay them 53-54, if they're getting the right person, that because those numbers are really minimal. So for me, it's about making sure that we're getting ourselves on point, and we're really going for the right jobs that are out there now. Are there jobs out there now on LinkedIn, perhaps more through agencies? What I would be doing now, and this is something that surprises a lot of people, especially my peers in the recruitment sector, is if I were looking for a job, I would spend this time. I know a lot of people have really kind of not necessarily embraced this moment, but I know that a lot of people have kind of really used this moment to do a lot of good and learn a lot of new skills and put things into practice. What I would be doing as a job seeker is I would be putting the feelers out here and now to put myself number one, first in the queue for when the job market does return. And the bit that surprises my peers in recruitment when I suggest this is I would be contacting companies directly now and basically saying to them, hey, I'm not crazy, but I would love to come and work for your organization. I would kind of I would get a short list of organizations that I would love to work for, whether that's Coca-Cola, Warner Brothers, Google, you know, whatever, Clifford Chance, you know, all of these places that, you know, that everyone's got different requirements, haven't they? And I would actively go out of my way to get in contact with those people, start the dialogue, have the conversation, and acknowledge it and say, I understand you're probably not recruiting at this moment in time. However, I want to be proactive because I am searching for a new role. I'd like you to keep my CV on file for when something does come up. So then what that does is that reflects you in the best light possible to those people. And we've had a couple of people contact us as recruiters that have said, you know, you're probably not recruiting at the moment, but would you be interested to see a business plan of what we can achieve for you? So for us as employers, you know, we're like, wow, that's amazing, yeah. So that's been really well received by us. We're not sitting here saying that we're going to take them on tomorrow, but these are the types of people that businesses want in their organizations, and that would definitely separate you guys from the crowd. And then kind of go into a little bit more depth behind the scenes. Most companies have a policy where they will keep your CV on file for anywhere between 3 and 6 months. So if, say, for example, a job comes up in August, September, your CV's there, you'll be front of the queue before they kind of go out, before they go out to the wider market. So hopefully that answers your question. Somebody says, should we keep contacting agencies? Yes, definitely contact agencies. What we've been hearing is that agencies aren't getting back to people, which is a bit frustrating and sad. You know, in one sense, as a business owner, I kind of sit there and think, that's great for our brand because we're contacting as many people as we possibly can every day and being upfront with them. But also, you know, that doesn't do our industry very good. That doesn't paint our industry in the best possible light because, you know, 6 months ago, we're asking everybody for their money and then everything just kind of goes flat. The worst thing that you could possibly do is fall off a cliff because everybody's going to remember that coming through the other side. So definitely keep contacting agencies, definitely keep putting your face out there so people remember you, and the ones that are getting back to you and the ones that are helping you, engaging in conversations and talking to you and showing you the respect that you deserve are the ones that you want to be partnering with long term, is my advice on that. Okay. Somebody's also said they've decided to take a more if I decided to take a more junior role or something different to my normal job scope to keep an income in for now, will it hold me back in the long run for my career? So I'm going to assume that this person is talking about a job now in the short term whilst we're in lockdown. Now, if that is the case, 100% no, like definitely not. Definitely, if anything, it shows what a willing worker you are, and it shows that you've got that enthusiasm and drive to go off and do something to get you through this difficult moment. So 100% no, don't worry about that at all, because everybody's doing what they can to keep themselves, their family, their business and personal self afloat. So from an employer's perspective, if you could turn up in an office in September, let's just say, and you go for an interview and you say, I've been working at XYZ because I wasn't working and I had this job, this is what I did, that is definitely going to set you apart from somebody who said, well, you know, I just haven't done anything for the last 3 months because there's nothing around. So that would, so definitely not, as long as you own, again, going back to what I said before, as long as you own that experience, you're proud of it and you explain it, it's absolutely fine. And that's what, and again, these are words that come directly from hiring managers. Is it a waste of time looking at jobs and Sex in the City? No, it's not a waste of time. Keep looking, but just, I'm not sitting here and saying, every job that you see is a fake job. Okay, I'm saying just be aware that there are fake jobs out there, whether the job market is slow or whether there's lots of jobs around. But definitely keep looking through Sex in the City, keep plugging away, and something will happen. Okay, somebody's saying exactly my thoughts. It's great. Let's see if we can get some more questions. Okay, so any more live questions, send them through. I'll go back to the kind of the kind of ones that we've sent through. We'll probably go for another 10 minutes because what I like to kind of keep these short and sweet. But if people want to kind of, if there's a need for it, I'm happy to kind of do as many of these as possible. So people, people get as much what they want for it. We can just reconvene it another time. So somebody's come through saying, I have a legal background and experience of working in management of a large team with some HR responsibilities. I was hoping to make a career change into HR and have almost completed CIPD qualification 5. I've been hoping to apply for HR roles to get more experience in this area, whether paid or voluntary, full-time, temporary. Given the current situation, be helpful to get your tips and advice. Next steps, how I can look for experience. Okay, so look, my advice to you is to just go full steam ahead. My advice to you is to go full steam ahead and just contact as many people as you possibly can that's going to help you in the HR, in the HR space. There's lots of HR agencies out there, including us. I'm conscious that I don't want to turn this into a sales pitch for my agency because this is not what it's about. But I can certainly put you in contact with somebody who is a highly skilled, highly talented HR recruiter who will be able to kind of give you as many as many pointers as you possibly could want, to be fair. But making a change and going into HR, having that qualification, that for me sets you up into the field that you want to be going into. It might be a case that you would have to take one or two steps lower down the career ladder to get to where you want to be, but the HR industry will be mindful of that, and they will also be very supportive of it as well at the same time. So there are lots of jobs within that space that definitely support people who are kind of coming from the background that you have and completing that qualification. So I would go full steam ahead. And as I go back to what I was saying before, when the market is perhaps a little bit slower or whenever, just go and approach companies directly for now and see what they can offer you, and just go full steam ahead with it. So hopefully that answers your question. Somebody's mentioned about getting in contact with one of my members of staff about temp work. I know this. I'm going to keep it anonymous because this message was sent to me. Definitely stay in contact with us as a company. Hannah is on furlough for the next 3 weeks because it just made business sense to do that. But we're picking up her bits and pieces. So definitely we know that you guys are still in the mix and looking. So as soon as things do start coming in, I'm sure you'll be one of the first people that we call, basically. So look, that's hopefully, if anybody does anyone want to come off mute and have a chat? That'd be nice. Anyone? It's fine if you don't worry. Has anyone got any other questions that they want to ask?
I have a question.
Oh, okay, good. I like this.
It's somewhat personal. About a year ago, I suffered from burnout because I was working at senior levels in the city for Deutsche Bank, Willis Insurance Broking, and the Royal Bank of Scotland. And I decided to take a year off, having never had one, even when my son was small. Unfortunately, when I decided to go back to work at the sort of autumn time of 2019, we're running into the tail end of Brexit, and things have gone very quiet. And then things were a little bit better at the beginning of the year when I started to really focus on returning, only to be met with COVID. So my sort of leave of absence is much longer than it has been, than I would have wanted it to be. So I've got now a gap of a year and a half, which was not my intention.
Yeah.
And how do I know you should be upfront about it. I'm quite happy to be upfront about it, but I come across a couple of things. Ageism, I know that you say it's not, but you know, you get spoken to at an interview and they say, well, we're a young team, which is an indication that in the back of their mind is, do I fit in with the culture of that team? And secondly is, one of the feedback I get, well, Vera's too qualified and we don't think the job would be challenging enough for her.
Okay.
So I get this sort of scale going on all the time, and I need to somehow break through it. I don't necessarily want to not get an interesting job, but maybe not at such a flying level that I did before in the past.
Okay.
Do you want to know what I did?
Okay. So yes, definitely. What were you doing?
Well, I worked for the vice president of Willis, the insurance brokers, who are now being taken over by Aon.
Yeah.
Also, I worked for the HR of the mayor at the Royal Bank of Scotland, and I also worked for the head of global quantitative products for the trading floor at Deutsche Bank, and they were very tough jobs.
Okay.
So I did get quite, and I also worked for a short stint to Standard Chartered in retail banking. But the point is, I did get very tired, and I did need to have that total break, which I did. But I've been hitting barriers on walkthrough, and I'm sure that other people are probably experiencing the same in different ways.
Okay.
How do you account for that?
Okay. Well, the first thing that I will say, well, first things first. Sorry to hear that that you had a situation that that you were in. Nobody wants that, but I think it's becoming more and more common in the modern day. And I had a kind of similar thing, but by the sounds of it, albeit at a kind of lesser level a few years ago. So I understand, I understand when things can kind of get on top of you. So sorry to hear about that. First of all, we do see this situation come up. Where people who have worked at got kind of had the trajectory of their career and then got to a certain point and then said, okay, look, that's great. I've worked at this really senior level. I still want to carry on working, but now is the time to kind of try something a little bit different and and have a bit more of take a little bit more of a step back, to be fair. So the situation that you're in that regard is actually quite common. And my advice to you is, if I can kind of frame it all up in one piece, the fact that you had some time off, for one reason or another, is probably not something that you're the most comfortable talking about, which I totally understand. So the advice that I would give you is to basically be really upfront and say, I had some time off because I worked at a senior level. I then decided that actually, it's time for me to kind of, I'm in a different phase in my life. It's time for me to kind of analyze what I'm looking to do and look into where I want to be and what I want to do in the future. I've taken some time. I've had to think about it. The job market, everybody knows you know, where the job market has been, especially at this particular moment, and say, I've been very unlucky in the job market, but now I'm looking to find a job where I can actually do X, Y, Z. Any agency that you go to that is a decent agency and you have that upfront conversation with them, they should listen to that and respect it and go off and try and find that job that you're looking for. We have had lots of jobs over the years as an agency where the client would phone us to say, you know, what would be really good is if we could find somebody who was working at a really senior level who now wants to take a bit of a step back. That would be amazing to find someone like that. Now, admittedly, you know, these have been over the years. We don't see them all day, every single day. Of course we don't. But those jobs do exist. And as I say, if you are upfront with your intentions and you outline that right from the very, very beginning and say that to people, then ultimately, hopefully, that should put you in a position that you're getting the job that you're looking for. Whilst we talk about ageism, and you know, I know this is whenever we do these things, whenever we speak to candidates, it does come up, that the age thing does come up, and you know, let's just talk real for a moment. From a recruiter's perspective, I have never heard one of our clients ever say to us, this person is a no because they're too old or they're too young. Basically, I've never had that. On the flip side of it, we do have jobs as an agency that are more suited to people who have got less experience, and people who are at the beginning of their career, because the jobs are doing X, Y, Z, and they're tailor-made for people who are at this point of their career, whether they're straight from college, whether they are 1 year into their career and what have you, that are working around similar people and what have you. Those jobs are there, but similarly, the jobs for people at the other end of the spectrum are there as well. You know, and I'll go back to the example that I had before. You know, if we think of a really senior recruitment consultant, HR business partner, PA to top person, 9 times out of 10, those individuals that get those jobs will be a lot more senior, and people who are a lot more senior, you know, by the nature of seniority, you know, it goes hand in hand with age, doesn't it? So therefore, they're going to be, you know, perhaps a little bit more mature than, you know, than other people. So I would, as I say, you know, just to kind of break it down, own your experience, you know, be upfront. You don't have to kind of go into like too much detail about the reasons why you were off if you feel really uncomfortable, but just be upfront with, you know, the time that you've been off, and be upfront with what your expectations are. And I'm sure that at some point you will find something.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so too. Okay, so just last couple of questions. I've been doing document review for the last couple of months. Do you get many of these in? We haven't been doing. We haven't had lots of document review, but I think yes. Is a simple answer is that I think document review is going to be something that we're going to see a lot of over the coming months. It's, as an agency, it's not something that we have had a big push on over the last few years because our other sectors have been so busy, but we have always seen those jobs around that are out there. So I think that that's a market that will continue to kind of flourish in the months to come. Law firm structures change to take on admin assistants to turn them into. Jacqueline, come on, keep it positive. Okay. So okay, do you have to put something to explain a gap in your CV? Again, hiring managers have told us if there's gaps in the CV, give a reason why. If you know, like if you're not uncomfortable, if you're uncomfortable, say, you know, giving War and Peace and what have you, and actual fact, it will all depend on the actual reasons why, but definitely explain gaps in CVs. If people want to ping me a direct message and say, and they feel comfortable talking to me about things, I'm happy to offer an opinion that is outside of a public forum to give them my advice on that, of what could be the best politician answer to put in that, which explains it, but then kind of, you know, doesn't give everything else. Okay, last question. What skills are the most important to have going forward, even if you haven't used computer skills in a senior role before COVID? Wow. What skills are most important to have going forward? Okay, knowing what this person does, okay, and I'm going to tailor this answer specifically for you. The most important skills, I believe, in the job that you do, which is PA, EA secretarial, is soft skills based around relationship building, building trust, showing initiative, showing that you're willing to go the extra mile. You know, I would put those above the computer skills, because the level of type of job that you're looking to do and the type of people that you're looking to support, that's what they want. They want someone who's proactive, somebody who can go the extra mile, someone who's, you know, somebody who they can, that they can trust and rely on. Computer skills, you can learn. You can sit down for the next month and I could put you in touch with Paul Pennant, who will give you a full training program. And at the end of that month, you will know those skills. You know those skills at the back of your hand. Soft skills, usually initiative, you know, willingness, relationship building skills. They come over time, and you know, they come more naturally to some people than in others. If somebody sent me a direct message about sending details, if people want to send CVs to us, they can do. Send them to officemanager@strictlyrecruitment.com. And if anyone wants to reach me, my email address is paul@strictly-recruitment.com. So we've gone way over what we way over than what we thought we were going to. Hopefully that helps. You know, I try and be as honest as I can and just tell you how it is. Hopefully people appreciate that. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully people have got some value of that. Anyone wants to reach me, please feel free to just drop me a line. Yeah, thank you all for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all your kind comments. Really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys. Thanks for having me.